How are you feeling today? There are eyes that, with just one glance, you know the person has lived through far more than they have ever said. It is not exhaustion, nor is it age. It is something deeper, as if their soul has lived hundreds of lifetimes inside a body that has not even reached half of one. Maybe you have felt that way too. The feeling that you are older than your actual age, that you no longer have the patience for the trivial dramas people still treat as big matters. The feeling of standing in a room full of laughter while your mind quietly steps back, observing in silence, as if you belong to another world, a world where everything feels more real, more profound, and sometimes more painful. And maybe, in the privacy of your own silence, you have once thought, I'm broken. I'm no longer myself. I used to be stronger than this. But what if I told you that it is not like that? What if I told you that the very things that made you think you had collapsed are actually revealing a different truth, a truth you have long forgotten? What if what you have been through is not a sign of weakness, but evidence of a strength that very few people in this world possess? Stay. There is something important you need to hear about yourself. There is something that many people who have been hurt never say out loud. They always believe they have become a worse version of themselves. You may have looked in the mirror many times and seen a face that looks more tired and heavier, as if the light in your eyes has been gradually worn down by time and suffering. You feel yourself slowing down, becoming more cautious, trusting less. And then you conclude, I'm broken. I'm not myself anymore. But here is the thing almost no one ever tells them directly. The feeling you think is a sign of collapse is sometimes the very first sign of inner growth. Psychology has a concept that is rarely mentioned, but those who have endured deep suffering are living proof of it. Post-traumatic growth. We talk a lot about trauma. We talk a lot about disorders. But we forget that those who walk through fire never return as they were before, not because they are destroyed, but because they are reforged. What you believe is losing your old self is actually just the moment when old skin sheds, so a layer of strength you never knew you had can emerge. What you see as shattering is sometimes the moment your mind is expanding its capacity to endure, to understand life, and to understand people. You are not becoming weaker. You are transforming. You just haven't realized that this process is happening deep within you. One of the first signs that you have matured through suffering is the way you perceive the pain of others. Ordinary people understand pain through logic. They know it exists. They can talk about it, but they cannot truly feel its depth. But you understand it the way someone who has lived in darkness understands every cold strand of the night. You don't need anyone to say it. A glance, a breath that drops just slightly, a silence a little longer than usual, you notice it instantly. That is not being overly sensitive. It is emotional intelligence forged through experience, not books. You may have wondered why strangers open up to you so easily. Why do they sit next to you for a few minutes and say things they have never told anyone? Why they feel safe in your presence, a kind of safety that does not require words to prove. The reason is simple. You do not judge. And the only thing that makes people dare to be honest is the feeling of not being judged. The dark experiences that once made you quiet, cautious, and even withdrawn are the same experiences that removed from you the masks most people still rely on to survive each day. You know how fragile life is. You know how a careless sentence can wound someone deeply. You know how a late embrace can be worth more than 100 apologies. So you start to move more gently through the world. You no longer dismiss the emotions of others. You listen with your heart, something most people only do with their ears. And this ability to see pain in others with high resolution, has made you a refuge for many wandering souls. A rare gift, a gift possessed only by those who have stood in the dark long enough to understand how precious light truly is. There is something only people who have endured profound upheaval truly realize. When life genuinely collapses, you stop reacting the way others do. Ordinary people, when facing sudden disruption, bad news, a small accident, a conflict, their nerves immediately tighten. They panic. They want to escape, or they freeze, not knowing what to do next. But you, perhaps you have wondered why you are different. Why the more chaotic things become, the calmer you are. Why, the more urgent the situation, the clearer your mind becomes. Why things that shake others for a week pass over you like a brief wave. The reason lies in something few ever mention. Pain has changed your threshold. You have lived through moments that still tighten your chest when you recall them. You have faced things that others lose sleep just hearing about. And once you have survived experiences like that, a flat tire, a rude comment, or a bad day, none of these are big enough to destabilize you. You have become the eye of the storm without even realizing it. While others scramble for an exit, you are the one standing in the center of the vortex, breathing steadily, seeing things clearly, thinking, "All right, I know what to do." That is not coldness, not numbness. It is a form of strength shaped in the days when you had no other choice but to be strong. You have unconsciously trained a mental muscle, what I call the resilience muscle. And when that muscle becomes strong enough, the things that once broke you now only make you pause for a few seconds. Your calmness is not innate. It is an inheritance left by suffering a legacy you've forgotten you even possess. There is a very persistent illusion that people who have been hurt often hold tightly. They believe that because they have suffered too much, they have become broken, ruined, a lesser version of themselves. But the truth is this: people who have suffered deeply do not become weaker. They simply become more real. You no longer have patience for pretense, not because you are difficult, but because you understand too well the cost of trying to be someone you are not. You no longer chase validation, not because you lack ambition, but because you have lost too much to believe that praise can save a soul that is already collapsing. You no longer wear masks, not because you are rebellious, but because in your darkest seasons, those masks proved useless. You burned them, one by one, to survive. People who have never suffered fear the gaze of others, fear being judged, and fear being disliked. But you have lived through moments that made the fear of judgment feel insignificant. If someone does not like you, you still breathe. If someone misunderstands you, you still continue living. If life does not go your way, you still stand back up. The reason is simple. You have lived through the worst. Everything else is just an echo. Pain does not distort you. It strips away the layers of falseness you had no choice but to carry for years. It pulls you back to your true essence, raw, unembellished, but strong in a way that makes others both respect and fear you. And sometimes that very authenticity becomes the only light in a room full of people trying desperately to hide who they really are. When you have faced the absolute limits of yourself, something very important happens, something you do not recognize right away. Your ego begins to melt, not in some distant philosophical sense, but in a very ordinary human way. You no longer feel interested in impressing anyone. You no longer feel the need to prove that you are intelligent, capable, interesting, just to be accepted. You no longer want to keep running in the race of success metrics that life lays out only to exhaust you further. Because once you have lost everything, your trust, your dreams, the person you loved, or even your own self, you understand that very few things in life are truly worth sacrificing your inner peace for. And that is when, radical authenticity begins to appear. You start saying what needs to be said, even when it is not easy to hear. You let go of relationships that no longer respect your value. You spend time on what nourishes your soul instead of chasing things that drain you. You become simple, unadorned, but strangely, stronger and clearer than ever. People who have never suffered are often afraid to live truthfully. They fear being seen and fear exposing the imperfect parts of themselves. But you have looked directly into your own darkness too many times to still fear it. The truth that frightens others is exactly what makes you magnetic, because in a world full of soul-level makeup, you appear like a bare face, imperfect, yet unmistakable. That is the higher perspective that pain has given you, to realize that living truthfully is not a choice, but the only path that leads you back to yourself. There is a moment in the journey of every person who has been hurt, a moment they do not recognize right away, when pain stops being just a wound and becomes fuel, not the kind of be strong that feels forced, not the pretense of being okay, but a quiet kind of maturation, like the way dawn appears. You cannot pinpoint the exact moment the sun rises. You only know that the sky is now bright. You begin to change from within in a way that is hard to put into words. You no longer react impulsively the way you once did. You observe more. You feel your emotions, but you no longer let them lead you down the same old paths. You know when to speak and when to stay silent. You know who deserves your energy and who does not. Pain once made you shrink back, but over time, what it left behind is stability, a foundation that every upheaval must pass through before it can reach you. You become soft in the places where the heart needs to be soft. Open, empathetic, grateful, loving, and able to let go. But at the same time, you become firm in the places that once caused you to break. Boundaries, self-worth, dignity, and inner peace. This is not a change you sought. It is a change born from the way you survived. The things that once made you feel small now make you feel expansive. The things that once silenced you now give you a voice. The things that once broke you have become the foundation of the steadiness you now carry. You do not emerge from pain as a hero. You emerge as someone who understands yourself more deeply than ever before. And here lies the most important turning point. You no longer live to avoid getting hurt. You live to become the most honest, strongest, and clearest version of yourself. A transformation that only those who have stood face to face with the dark night can understand the value of. When you look back on what you have been through, you may discover something strange. The cracks that once made you ashamed are exactly where you learn the most about yourself. Like the art of kintsugi in Japan, where broken bowls are not discarded but mended with gold, you are the same. What once broke you is now proof that you have expanded your capacity. Not everyone understands this. Many people hide their cracks, paint over them, cover them, and pretend they never shattered. But you are different. You no longer need to hide. You no longer need to appear perfect, because in the moment you look at your cracks with gentleness instead of shame, you see something bigger. You no longer want to be anyone other than yourself. That is the journey home. Home to the clarity untouched by time. Home to the intuition once buried under fear. Home to the stillness where you know what you want, what you need, and what you deserve. Home to the light you thought you had lost but was only covered by the dust of difficult years. And when you step into the place where you truly belong, something miraculous happens. The things that once made you tremble no longer scare you. The people who once hurt you no longer have the power to touch your heart. The situations that once swept you away no longer control you. Because you have understood something very few people ever do. Your true essence was never destroyed. It was simply waiting for you to be mature enough to return to it. You do not return as your old self. You return as a version gilded with gold, more beautiful, stronger, deeper, and more authentic. And from that very essence, you begin to see life through completely different eyes. Eyes that no longer fear, no longer judge, no longer rush, but simply shine with understanding and calm. When people look at you now, no one can guess what you have lived through, but the cracks within, you know, your heart knows, and your soul has never forgotten. It knows you once trembled, once fell, and once wanted to give up, but it also knows that somehow you stood up again, kept walking, and found your way through the darkness without anyone to guide you. And that is why today you are no longer the same. Not because life took too much from you, but because it opened inside you a new space, a place of stillness, of strength, of authenticity, of a light no one can extinguish. In a world full of illusions, you are living proof of a very old truth, one often forgotten. What breaks does not always disappear. Some things become more beautiful precisely because they were once shattered. Kintsugi was never just an art. It is a philosophy of human beings. And you are the living version of that philosophy. A bowl that once broke, once fragmented, but was mended with something more precious than any flawless glaze. With your experiences, your tears, and your journey of growth. So never think that you are less than anyone. Never think that those who have had easier lives are stronger. Glass breaks easily. Porcelain chips easily. But you are something that becomes sharper, brighter, and more resilient every time you are tested. If there is one thing you carry with you after all these words, let it be this. You are not broken. You have been forged into shape. If these words resonate with you, if you hear them and see yourself somewhere among the cracks, the falls, the moments you thought you could not go on, then leave a small sign below. Not for me to know, but for you to see where you are standing in this journey of growth. Leave a diamond symbol, because diamonds are not formed with ease. They are created under pressure, in darkness, under unimaginable heat. And so are you. If you feel you have taken even one step toward a stronger version of yourself, write down a small commitment, truly your own. A sentence for yourself, not fancy, only honest. And if you want to continue this journey, the journey of looking inward, the journey of healing without avoiding, the journey of returning to your true essence, then subscribe to the channel, not to support me, but so you do not miss any moment of awakening meant for you. And if you know someone who believes they have been destroyed, someone carrying cracks they try to hide every day, send them this video. A small reminder at the right time can sometimes change the way a person sees themselves.